Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Achak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. I found this online from Eric Doherty. He says, wow, millions of Californians are furious after Democrat officials plan a tax on miles driven ranging from 1,200 to over 4,000 per year on families. Holy crap, just leave California. Newsom is going to destroy his own state even more than he has. Let's see what
their rights were So the people here protesting against ICE have absolutely no idea that their rights were completely violated yesterday by the California State Legislature. In the Assembly, the Democrats, by a simple majority vote, voted to advance a potential per-mile tax. Yeah, that's not a conspiracy theory, that's not a rumor. They just tasked a California Transportation Commission to come up with recommendations by 2027 to be able to implement a per-mile tax that would charge you 2 to 9 cents for every single mile that you drive. And you know why that's insane? Because we're talking about families of 2 or maybe even 3 paying an extra of $1,200 to $4,200 every single year just to drive, depending on how that estimation ends up coming out. So you are going to be punished by the government for needing to fulfill work and familial obligations. Add on top of that the fact that the U.S. House decided that cars that are made past 2026 should continue to have kill switches in them. This was a decision that was made by the Biden administration, and it really irritates me. It should irritate the American people. Because imagine if in a state like California, they sent you your quarterly or your monthly billing for the per mile tax, and you refuse to pay it. Then they're gonna what? Kill switch your car? Oh yeah, no. You're not paying your per mile tax. Uncle Sam didn't get his money. Now you don't get to drive. The worst part of all that is we're supposed to trust them with our money? I mean, a report just came out that we threw $236 million or something at a homelessness program that was run by, Newsom, trying to get people who were going in between the streets and crime off the streets permanently and not into crime and, a stable living, a stable life. And we only helped 22 people out of that. Are you kidding me? That is absolutely ludicrous. You're telling me we spent somewhere between 11 and 12 million just on each of those people? Gavin, he does not know how to handle your money. And the last thing we need is a per mile tax where we throw more at him. And they're not taking away the gas tax either. They'll just compound that on top of
it. And look at all the people protesting. And you know what? It's Esau Edom. He can't rule. He shouldn't be in any form of power. What's the alternative? J.D. Vance, you're out of your damn mind. You're out of your... white people shouldn't be in any form of power. I'm sorry to tell you, man. They've shown you they can't rule properly. Let me grab this in the book of Ecclesiastes 10, verse 16. That's hell, man. That's more hell. And you know what? If it works there, then why not do it somewhere else? In New York, they had this bill. Not a bill. They had they basically charged you extra to go into Manhattan. So you had to pay $9 to go into Manhattan. And what they noticed is they got a shit ton of money, because if you had to pay that $9, you really had to get into Manhattan at that time. But they're reducing the amount of cars that can flow into Manhattan. So all that's telling you is just increase the tax to go into those areas. You'll make a lot of money and you'll prevent less traffic. So they're showing other states how they can pretty much bring down the traffic and make some money on while you're doing it. But that's just going to be more hell, especially with inflation and the cost of your everyday items going up. There's more shit going on right now. Let me grab this Ecclesiastes 10, verse 16. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child and thy princes eat in the morning. So your king is a child. That's the problem. He's not fit to be in any form of rulership. All right. So these things that are happening are a direct effect of who's in power. Okay. If you didn't have a kid ruling, you would be able to have a well-ordered government. All right. Speaking about well-ordered governments, let's as a matter of fact, what's this? Yeah, let's talk about this nigga here.
Tonight, the DOJ...
This is Salakia. This is on NBC News. New Epstein Files batch reveals new connections with powerful men.
Latest batch of Epstein files revealing new connections between the late convicted sex offender and other powerful men, with another data set posted overnight. One of the documents appears to be a 32-count draft indictment prepared against Epstein before the non-prosecution agreement he reached in 2007. It reveals the government was looking to charge 3 co-conspirators alongside Epstein with a conspiracy to procure women under the age of 18 between 2001 and 2005. Their names are redacted, but they are described as assistants who helped schedule appointments, make calls, pay victims, and more. Some new images also appear to show Britain's former Prince Andrew kneeling over an unidentified female. There are no details provided about the circumstances or timing of the photos, and there's no indication of wrongdoing in these images. He has denied prior accusations of sexual...
Yeah, because you don't know who the person is in the image. When you find out that's a little-ass girl that he's touching on like that, maybe you'll have a different opinion about that picture.
Abuse by one of Epstein's victims.
How old was that girl in that picture? And that girl in that picture, she got put to death. And who was she with? She was probably going to say something about this nigga here. He got all his royal titles taken. This is supposed to be royalty. Took him out. All his accolades, all of that shit. Now he's just Joe Schmo.
Abuse by one of Epstein's victims and has never been criminally charged.
Come on, look
The
at
DOJ...
this stuff, man. Look at him, man. Come on, man. It says it all. It says it all. And the smile says it all, man. You can't see through that bald head and nasty smile. He's a nasty man. Look at that nose, man.
The DOJ also posted, then temporarily removed without explanation, a spreadsheet of complaints made to the FBI, including unverified allegations about both President Trump and former President Bill Clinton.
Yep.
Per the document, the FBI determined some of those claims were found to be not credible. Trump and Clinton have denied any wrongdoing, and they have not been accused by authorities. The DOJ says the files contain untrue and sensationalist claims against President Trump that are unfounded and false.
We did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody.
A group of Epstein survivors criticized the DOJ.
What about the persecution of the people that killed Renee Good and all that? Why they quit their jobs? Why you ain't doing anything about that? And now all of a sudden, this is all accusations. You know, we weren't trying to protect him. It's just that these are all false. So, you saying everything on there is false? It's not false, man. I don't believe none of this. This is Edomite. Isaiah 47. The Lord told you he was going to do these things. These are signs. Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Dust is confusion. The virgin daughter of Babylon is America. Sit on the ground. Ultimately, it's Esau. Okay, he's the one running this show in America. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. So he's not going to be called tender and delicate because he's about to be he's about to get hit. A virgin is pure. She ain't never been hit before. America never been hit by somebody else outside of its own internal strifes. But it's prophesied to be hit with thermonuclear missiles. Take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the river. So he's going to take the millstone, meaning you're not going to be a tender and delicate. You're going to be doing some work because you're going into slavery. You're going to be grinding the mill. You're going to be working hard. Uncover the locks, make bare the leg. You being exposed. Uncover the thigh, pass over the river. The Lord is exposing you, okay? He's seeing what's under your skirt, and what is he seeing? All this wickedness, okay? He's seeing the cellulite. You look good with your girdle on, right? You see a chick, but now the belly popped out, She got cellulite on her legs, and she had the long stockings on. Everything looked perfect until you start taking off the clothes. Now you smelling a stench. Now you're like, I don't think I really want to hit that anymore. And that's what's going on with this place. It's the same thing. Isaiah 47:3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Nakedness is pretty much your sins. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. So his shame for glory. This is a shameful spewing. His shame, that the things that he glorifies himself in, is just all shameful. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. That's talking about Yahweh Shai. He's coming back and he's not going to meet Esau Edom as a man like he did before.
DOJ for heavily redacting some of the files, saying in a statement, "This is not over. We will not stop until the truth is fully revealed and every perpetrator is finally held accountable." Jose, some of the Epstein documents are heavily redacted. President Trump's Justice Department said the White House had no oversight of the review of these new files. At least 2 congressmen have already requested to see unredacted documents. And remember, the Deputy Attorney General said they're not releasing millions of pages of additional files, including some involving internal deliberations about the case. Jose?
Jose, yeah, so, you got to watch out, too, at the same time. Because when you jump down, Isaiah 47:12, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. So he's been doing this for a long time, using things to distract from other issues that are going on, like Iran. Who knows what the hell he's up to? Okay. Other bills, he's probably trying to pass some wicked ass bill like we just saw with the mileage tax. He did that on a day when you probably weren't even looking, and then the next day mad people are out protesting because Esau knows these things are going on. I don't know how he's privy to this information. We don't really, as a nation, as a whole, we don't really watch for these things, okay? But when you do watch it, you start to see when the Lord wants us to watch. He wants us to see what's going on and being involved, through the Spirit, pretty much hastening the day that he returns, not to get involved, carnally, but just being ready, being aware. Okay. This is another thing. This is from ABC News. New SNAP rules start tomorrow, which is February 1st. Today's January 31st. So at midnight, you're going to have new rules for your SNAP benefits.
In tonight's deep dive, major changes for SNAP benefits going into effect when the clock strikes midnight. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that more than 2 million people could lose benefits because of new work requirements and changes to exemptions. It's all part of President Trump's signature tax and spending plan passed last summer. Our Alex Brochet joins me now, along with Eric Mitchell, the president of the Alliance to End Hunger. Alex, let's start with you. Break down what's changing overnight.
Well, now break down what about the dude did an interview. He went into he was asking a bunch of tall hats that if they what do they do for work and all that, and they were all on welfare. So they weren't working. Are you gonna take their benefits? Nope, he gonna take your benefits, showing you that it's all because of the nation of Israel, man. All these things, everything has to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with anybody else. This is the devil versus it's Jacob and Esau. That's why these heathen, man, these people, it's like, this is why you gotta suffer these things, man, and hope the Lord just, when it's time, oh man, it's gonna be so glorious at the end of the day. We're going to be in a position of power, and everyone else, they got to pay, and the Lord's going to use you to do it, but we got to suffer.
Well, Andrew, let's start with this work requirement, a new 80 hours per month work requirement for able-bodied individuals.
That ain't shit. Can I get on that shit? 80 hours a month? Hey, they tell you in the book of 1 Thessalonians, I think it's 4. 1 Thessalonians. Nope, that's not there. 2 Thessalonians. Where he says, if a man doesn't work, neither shall he eat. I can't remember. I think it's Thessalonians. 5 or something. If a man doesn't work, neither shall he eat. Second Thessalonians 3 verse 10. Let's go there. Second Thessalonians 3 verse 10. Yeah. It says, not even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. So you gotta work, man. But you know, some people, they're so reliant on having their hand out. You know, Esau created it that way, where now you gotta pretty much change your whole life around by tomorrow. Now, some of this is new news to me. I didn't see this coming from a hole in the wall. You know, you got your benefits back now. There's a partial government shutdown around the corner, and it's so easy. You easily get right back into being comfortable. This is why it's a battle. It's so easy to just fall back and just be comfortable all over again. Esau weaponized slavery. He made it seem like it's cool to just sit back and just let everything be. Just sit back, let me take care of you, let me do what I do, and you'll be all right. And nah, it ain't supposed to be like that, man. You got to get out of that weak ass mindset, okay, and get in and do what the Lord wants you to do, okay.
Individuals. Also, a part of that is now they're for individuals that are aged 18 to 64. Previously, the work requirement capped out at about 55. And for family members that take care of dependents, they used to have an exemption for dependents under the age of 18. Now that has shrunk, and it ends for dependents under the age of 14. We also saw exemptions removed for homeless individuals, veterans, and young adults who are in foster care. Additionally, this bill significantly restricts benefits to only apply to certain lawful permanent residents here. It eliminates eligibility for others legally present in the United States. But as you mentioned, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that between 2025 and 2034, 1.1 million people will lose SNAP benefits. Another 1 million people, it estimates, could have those benefits reduced because they are no longer eligible for exemptions.
And Eric, what do you make of all these changes made in that GOP mega bill?
Well, the GOP mega bill really, quite honestly, is a bill that is just really attacking some of the most vulnerable people in our country. As Alex mentioned, the folks who are going to be impacted by these changes are families with children under 18, older Americans up to age 65. And what these work requirements are going to do is basically make that population, which is a population that typically is the hardest to try to find steady employment, to now be burdened with trying to prove that they are working 20 hours a week just to be able to be fed. Not to mention, individuals who are dealing with homelessness as well as veterans. These are, again, we are talking about some of the people who are dealing with the most, at times, unstable forms of employment. And so
I gotta grab this precept. The Lord hates that, man. The Lord hates a man when a man of war suffereth poverty. Ecclesiasticus 26 verse 28. Okay, there be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry: a man of war that suffereth poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepareth such an one for the sword. So he doesn't like a man of war that suffereth poverty. You're supposed to take care of your veterans, man. Okay, and he's not going to be able to do that. Especially if, some of them got to work 20 hours a week. I think there's exemptions for some of the veterans, it said. But, but some of them are homeless. Some of them, even with the veteran packages, they're not being helped. You can't help them even to get off the street. What the hell is that all about? And then soon all that shit's gonna be cut off.
This is a policy that we feel is unnecessary. There's already work requirements, used for SNAP benefits. And so by extending it and making it even harder, you're just increasing the burden on more Americans.
And so with that, Eric, do you think the result here, what do you think the result here could be for those millions of Americans?
Well, it's not only going to just be those millions of Americans who, like Alex mentioned, the over a million people who will lose their benefits, and the additional million people who will see their benefits reduced, but it also puts a strain on the broader community. Food banks are already struggling across this country to try to make sure they have enough food on the shelves to be able to.
And then not only that, if you do have your benefits and you're a veteran and you're homeless, you paying overpriced goods. I watched this video of this lady, she had a can of tomato. I think it says 794 grams. She weighed it and it came up to 444 grams. So they pretty much are selling you for the same price half. It's called shrinkflation. So you're paying the same price for what it is, but they're giving you less. So that's another, like, a hidden form of poverty, man, of inflation. They're cutting your goods off, and eventually the Lord said He's gonna break your staff of bread, just like we were warning you before during the first government shutdown. The Lord's slowly doing it. He said, let me grab it, Ezekiel, the 5th chapter. Ezekiel 5, verse 17. So will I send upon you famine and evil beast. And verse 16. Ezekiel 5, verse 16. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So the fact that He said He's going to increase the famine upon you. Okay, so He gave it back. He showed you a little bit, right? He took it away, and then He gave it back. Now He's giving it back with requirements, but eventually He's going to break your staff of bread. So He's increasing the famine upon you. Eventually, no one's going to be eaten except the servants, the prophets. Okay, ain't gonna be no food bank. You're gonna have to be with a man of the Lord, because that's who He said is gonna eat and have water and all these things.
Take care of those who are trying to put food on the table, as well as your local grocery markets and others who rely on individuals who are receiving SNAP benefits to kind of keep the economy moving forward. This is something that has it's going to be a trickle down effect as it relates to the people who are going to be losing these benefits.
Eric,
and guess what? Everyone's going to be losing some benefits. Let me grab this in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Eventually, you're going to have money and there ain't going to be nothing in the store to buy. That's when the staff is broken. Then what you going to do? Okay? Jacob's trouble's coming, whether you prepare it or not. There's nothing you really can do. All you can do is repent. If you're a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, you're a true believer of what's written in the Bible, the true power, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. You don't want to repent, it's all right. You ain't got to. You don't have to, man.
Power
Just
groups.
die. And guess what? You don't want to die in that way. Let me grab this in the book of Lamentations, the 4th chapter. Lamentations 4 and verse number 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the street. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. So this is describing somebody who is suffering from a famine. A lot of people you see today, they're well fed. You're going to see them in a low state. These are going to be the same people that rejected the word. They're going to be the same people that scoffed, just did all types of stuff against the Lord. And you're going to see their skin cleaving to their bones. And then when you suffering from famine, your skin get darker. You look messed up out here, man. A lot of people gonna look bad, man. Lamentations 4 verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. So it's better to get shot in your head than to be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Yes, you're gonna pine away, which is you're gonna pretty much, your body's gonna eat itself. Okay, it's an agonizing pain. Lamentations 4 verse 10. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They will their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So people, there's a lot of evil that's going to increase. The love of many is going to wax cold. Okay, especially when there's no food. These women that got multiple kids, multiple baby daddies, they're going to lose their damn minds. They already lost their minds last time. They didn't have any, they said they were going to go in the store and rob the place if they didn't get their, their benefits working in time. And that was only 43 days in a functioning society. Jobs were still working, running water. All these things were still happening. But just because they didn't have that card, they were willing to go, crazy over things they could go and work for. But their minds ain't working like that. So that's a whole demon that the Lord's unleashing. Okay.
Like yours, helping to work and bridge that gap and maybe some of the confusion and challenges as millions stand to lose these benefits?
We're working with groups in states to talk about how these policy changes are going to impact them directly. I didn't mention the fact that some of the policy changes that's in HR 1 is also going to put more burden on the states, where states are going to have to figure out how to close gaps in their own state budgets to cover what was once going to be covered by the federal government. And so many people are going to have to talk to their state legislatures as well as their governors to make sure that these are priorities in their state budgets. But we're also working with groups to understand what are some of the resources that you can have as relates to being able to make ends meet and be able to qualify for these programs. One thing we have to mention is that this is a program where it's serving over 40 million Americans. This is the largest nutrition program in the country. So any change to this is going to have a drastic impact on people. And so it's going to be up to us to really educate folks on what those impacts mean. And I really appreciate you guys, making this a topic for today.
And Alex, this can be a really difficult week for people. How do they even know if they're about to lose their benefits?
Well, that's part of the big confusion here. Number one, you're talking about, as Eric mentioned, a program that some 42 million Americans depend on. But it's not like, there's a website that you can go to and type in your name and your credentials and figure out whether or not you're still eligible. Listen, the reality is that in some states, those benefits are going to evaporate tomorrow when the clock strikes midnight for folks, especially for folks that can't prove their work history. But other states are going to try to at least give a little bit more of a runway, a little bit more of a buffer before starting to kind of wean people off of these programs. But when we talk to a lot of food banks, that is their big concern. It is the uncertainty. It is the hodgepodgeness, if you will, of this taking effect, and they're hearing concern from a lot of people that are dependent on these programs.
Excellent point and good insight from you both, Eric Mitchell and Alex Brochet.
You better be careful when you're coming out those damn supermarkets, man. People got kids they need to feed. I wouldn't be surprised if you make yourself a damn Vic over your carriage, man. Government shutdown expected to last all weekend. Let's see. Right around the time the government's being shut down, you're in the same position you were a couple months ago. This is from CBS News. Let's see what
partial federal government shutdown went into effect at midnight. Just hours earlier, the Senate voted to approve a revised package of government funding bills. Now, the vote coming after the Senate reached an agreement with the House to delay the debate over extended funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Caitlin Huey-Burns is in our Washington newsroom. Good morning, Caitlin.
Hey, good morning, Kelly. Well, this is something that we rarely see these days, bipartisanship between President Trump and Senate Democrats. But the House still needs to weigh in here. So right now, there is a partial shutdown, at least until lawmakers return on Monday.
It was a Friday night breakthrough.
The yeas are 71. The nays are 29. The bill, as amended, has passed.
Just hours before the deadline, the Senate passed 5 bills to ensure most of the government is funded through September. And they agreed to fund the Department of Homeland Security for just 2 weeks, buying time to negotiate new rules for immigration and customs enforcement. The consequence...
So they're willing to fund the Homeland Security, but when it comes to you eating, they ain't got the funds for that.
As of last year's 43-day shutdown, the longest in American history, loomed large, and something the president said he hoped to avoid.
So we'll work in a very bipartisan way, I believe, not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
The funding deal was considered a...
Yeah, that's not what the Democrats said last time. They said that it works in their favor to have a shutdown. So, listen, this is two wings of the same bird. They're all working together, man. Don't be a fool. You got to repent to the Lord, and hopefully the Lord, he's a merciful power. Because during that shutdown, I was good. I was good, man. I ate every day. And, I thanked the Lord every single time I ate. But some people didn't eat. And if you didn't eat last time, the Lord got smoke with you. Okay? I would be thinking, why would the Lord, and I ain't talking about the so-called white man, I'm talking about Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. He got smoke with y'all, man. You better get right with him and see what you can do, and repent, get into this word before it's too late.
Win for Democrats, who, after the killing of Alex Preddy by a federal agent in Minneapolis last Saturday, pledged to block long-term funding for DHS unless reforms are put in place.
I want my Republican colleagues to listen closely. Senate Democrats will not support a DHS bill unless it reins in ICE and ends the violence.
And he's not going to do that, so let's see how long this government shutdown is going to be.
Democrats want to end roving patrols of immigration enforcement agents, tighten the rules around warrants, institute a uniform code of conduct, and require federal agents to wear body cameras and ban face coverings.
Damn, they ain't even got body cameras on. These niggas are evil. These dudes are evil, man. They don't even got body cameras on. These dudes are evil, man. You see it in their face. He's smiling in that mask. He got a grenade in his hand, some type of smoke grenade, or no, that's a spray. I think that's like beer spray. These people, man. And they all look like, they're all Edomites. They're all Edomites.
But Republicans have legislative demands of their own.
I'm willing to entertain some reforms to make sure that we rein in ICE appropriately and make it more professional. But the cancer that we're dealing with is sanctuary city policy.
Now, if the House passes this funding package next week, the next big showdown will be over long-term DHS funding, which lawmakers will now debate over the next 2 weeks. And notably, this week the agency came under scrutiny from both parties, which is a sign that the public outcry over what happened in Minnesota has had an impact, at least for now.
Yep. So I don't think they're going to be shutting down ICE so they can help out with sanctuary cities where you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are. They're gonna be, he wants to come get you. Okay, we getting closer to that time, man. Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. He ain't gonna be ruling for much longer. He got to consolidate that power, especially the things that he's going to be implementing soon. He's bringing out the Epstein files. So while you paying attention to that, you ain't paying attention to all these other laws he's passing. And who knows what he's passing? I don't know everything. I just report what I see. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. So that's woe means death and destruction to those who write unrighteous decrees. That's an unrighteous decree. Anything that oppresses the nation of Israel, that's what he's doing. To turn aside the needy from judgment, Isaiah 10:2, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So, when they put a California mileage tax for every 2 cents per mile, which charges you extra 12, 14, 400, anywhere from 1,200 to 4,000 a year, extra on top of everything that's going on, that's an unrighteous decree. Revelation chapter 6, in verse number 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. When you look at that word pair of balances, it goes into Zygos. It's ultimately talking about inflation. He's going to make it hard. And this is what we're starting to see.
Strong's G 2218, Zugas.
Zugas. A yoke that is put on drought cattle. That's what he's doing. He's putting a yoke on you. He's putting a burden on you by making it harder for you to get the same things. Just to even go to work, you got to pay a tax on your mileage. Come on, man. That's hell. Metaphor used of any burden or bondage. And that's what he's doing. He's making you work harder for less. Okay. As that of slavery. So he's putting more burdens on Israel. And even though, Esau's have to, deal with these same type of things, he has more wealth than y'all. Y'all gotta have way more faith because you ain't gonna have any money. Okay. You ain't gonna have the wealth that Esau got. Esau still got a house. So worst case scenario, before he go homeless, he can downgrade a couple times before he ever hits rock bottom like y'all are gonna hit. He can probably the last one fired. You the last one hired and the first one fired. He's the first one hired and the last one fired. Okay, so he's gonna be able to sustain it carnally for a little bit of time, but it's not gonna really sustain him because he's gonna be destroyed too. And everything he stored up is ultimately for the elect. So the wicked need to be afraid, man. Of troubling laws imposed on one. Okay, this is that pair of balances of the Mosaic law. Hence the name is so transferred to the commands of Hamashiach as to contrast them with the commands of the Pharisees, which were a veritable yoke. Yet even Hamashiach's commands must be submitted to, though easier to be kept. So you gotta submit to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Okay? And it tells you in Matthew 11, let me grab that. It's ultimately to see who you're gonna follow. Whose commands, who do you fear more? It's all a test from the Lord. Matthew 11, I should have grabbed this in a blue letter. In verse number 28, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So he's going to give you rest through the word. Yahweh Shai is our rest. Okay, this is where you're going to get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Having that understanding what the Lord's going to be doing in these last days is supposed to comfort you in this time. And that should be the wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Isaiah 33:6. So by having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that's what's going to keep you from losing your mind like everybody else. Esau's already losing his mind, and he's doing much better than you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But he knows eventually he going to be put to the point where he going to have to go homeless. He going to have to fight. And guess what? Esau ain't really like that. He's very soft. He's been on top for a long time. So what is he going to do? He's going to kill his whole family and shoot himself in the head. Matthew 11:29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. So you're going to find rest looking for Yahweh Shai, finding him, learning of him. That's where you're going to find rest for your souls. This world ain't got no rest for you. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So you got to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Okay? And his commandments are not grievous. Was that precept at? And my commandments are not grievous. 1 John, is it? Yeah, well, I know it. 1 John 5:3. Let's grab that. So that's what it is. It's easy. I mean, you got to practice it. You're not going to get it overnight. This is why we practice the righteous acts. You know, we're aware of what's written in the Bible. A lot of y'all don't know what's in here because you don't study. You think this book is like, I don't know what you think this is. 1 John 5:3, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Okay, so it's not grievous. Okay, we keep his commandments. It's not going to be grievous. Let's look at this word grievous, as a matter of fact. Just of something bad, very severe or serious. So it's not grievous. But if you follow the commands of Esau, Revelation 16:2. I start at 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So who you obey is who you worship. So it's better to take the yoke, and his commandments are not grievous. You take Esau's yoke of bondage, you're gonna get a grievous sore. Okay, you're not gonna find rest with grievous sores and cancer and all that. That's the other side of the equation. Okay, that's what all of this is coming to do. That's what's coming down the pike. Revelation 13:16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which is the Neuralink. Everyone's going to be faced with having to take this form of, you're going to have to take that yoke. This is the yoke of bondage right here. This is what actually makes you a slave. Okay. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Because when you look at the MOTB, the word mark is an implantable device that goes in your right hand or in your forehead. Do not be deceived. And the number of his name is the universal product code, which has the numbers 6, 6, and 6 inside of the barcode. Here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So that's the 666. You're going to put that inside you, just like a beast. Exodus 21. Exodus 21:1. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. And if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So that's the position that you're going to be in. If you love Babylon so much, you're going to do it for your family. You're going to get a digital awl, which is the MOTB. That's a form of you saying, I love my master and I don't want to go free. Okay, and a lot of you do love your master because you're suffering from Stockholm syndrome, and the Lord is trying to heal you with this word. But if you can't receive the treatment, well, you're gonna pass away, and He's gonna burn you with fire. Let's see what's going on in the world. It says explosions put Iran on edge as tensions skyrocket with U.S. So this is prophecy being fulfilled. Okay. The least of the flock is drawing out the Americans.
Tonight, Iran says the blast that tore through this residential building in a port city did not kill a naval commander. The explosion and a fire in southwestern Iran caused by a gas leak, officials say. Iran's supreme leader appearing in public for the first time in weeks, attempting to project stability, but his country is on edge. Tomorrow, its Revolutionary Guard is set to carry out missile tests and a live-fire naval exercise. President Trump has sent an aircraft carrier strike group and says he's prepared to use it.
Number one, no nuclear, and number two, stop killing protesters.
Despite an internet blackout, as mass protests were crushed in a massacre 2 weeks ago, a U.S. team that scours Iranian social media says pro-regime messages are being allowed. Its analysis shared with NBC News, finding the regime trying to project defiance.
And they're clearly trying to volley counter threats that U.S. assets will be vulnerable.
Desperate to de-escalate, neighboring countries intensified diplomatic efforts today, speaking to the Iranian foreign minister and President Trump's envoy. But across the region, in Gaza, Israeli strikes killed roughly 30 people, including children, the highest death toll in weeks, testing October's peace deal. The Israeli Defense Forces said it was targeting Hamas and Islamic Jihad for violating the ceasefire agreement. Tomorrow, Israel is set to allow the Rafah crossing with Egypt to reopen for the limited movement of people. Tonight, President Trump continues to weigh his options over Iran, saying in an interview this evening they are negotiating, but adding the last time they negotiated, quote, "We had to take out their nuclear, and we'll see what happens." Jose?
And they keep, I thought he already took out the nuclear just a couple of months ago. Now they got nuclear sites already back up and running, ready to go. What's this? I want to look this up real quick because I got the picture right here. AP explains satellite photos seeing activity in Iran. Let's see what this is talking about.
Satellite photos analyzed by...
This is from AP, Associated Press. AP explains satellite photos seeing activity at Iran nuclear sites.
The Associated Press show activity at 2 Iranian nuclear sites. Now, these sites are at Natanz and Isfahan. The Natanz site has seen a roof go up over top of what used to be an above-ground nuclear...
You see the damage on the left side of the screen? Now there's a roof over it. So clearly they're working there.
Nuclear enrichment site used by Iran that had been enriching uranium up to 60% purity, which is a short technical step from weapons-grade levels of 90%. Now, the second site in Isfahan is over a structure that Israel destroyed in June, and the Israelis said at Isfahan they were targeting centrifuge manufacturing facilities. Now, all this comes as U.S. President Donald Trump is putting more pressure on Iran over its nuclear program. That's atop of the threat by Trump to use military force against Iran if it killed peaceful protesters or if it conducted mass executions. Now, already the USS Abraham Lincoln is in the region to carry out potential strikes, and that has seen the Iranians also offer their own threats against America. But this activity at the 2 nuclear sites seems to suggest, according to analysts, that Iran is trying to salvage what may remain after that June attack, and maybe trying to do it without prying eyes of satellites seeing what they recover.
So war's kicking off, man. War is kicking off. Let me grab this in the book of Revelation 11 and 14. Like the Lord said it would. Revelation 11 and 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The Lord didn't have this to be written for no reason. And the third woe going into the third world war is coming quickly. Okay. Before I forget, these dudes are on the Jeffrey Epstein's list too. Jay-Z, Harvey Weinstein, and Pusha T mentioned in latest Epstein file. I couldn't find any news report where Jake made the list. You know, Chris Tucker even said he was on one of those, one of those planes, or he was invited or something. He said he never been to the island or anything, but it tells you in Amos the 3rd chapter, can two walk together unless they be agreed? You know, I'm sure y'all knew what he was about. Look at his allegations. Even like P. Diddy, you can't even blame people who were with him, because everyone knew something was off with him, but y'all wanted money so badly and you were forced to go party with Diddy. Amos 3:3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? You know, you got to ask yourself that question. Why would you be with him in the first place? Now, I could see if you just happen to walk by, but you on the list. I could see if, you know, they found a picture of you, you know, you were just in the background, you didn't know, and, you know, you just happened to fall into a picture. Okay, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you got email exchanges with them, you're on the Epstein's list, you asking questions like y'all are friends, you had a relationship like they say about the duck. Oh, for 3 years they had a relationship. You know, then you got to question that. They don't look good for you, man. You know, Jay-Z got all this money. You know, it makes you think, why, what were you willing to do to get to that level? The Lord's revealing all these things, and Pusha T too. You dudes get into the game, and then years later, you look gay, man. Both of y'all. And the Lord, he gonna get you niggas, man. Honestly, people have been talking about Jay before any of this, ever since P. Diddy got taken down. I'm curious to see what he was on the list talking about. Massive 59 car pileup along California's Highway 99. Look at this crap. Look at this. All this 59 car pileup. Lord made it super foggy. They couldn't see. Look at all that, man. You got to watch out when you on these roads. If you don't want to be in the fog. You don't want to be in the snow. You know, Esau loves when this type of shit happens, man. This is probably an insurance company's wet dream right here. This is all cash money for him.
Man.
Yes. Nobody died in this. It's actually a miracle, but it shows you, you know, that's a lot of damage, man. If you come up out of this, count yourself blessed, man. But Esau has it where, you know, even when it was snowing the last snowstorm, people were out having to work in that snowstorm because they really don't have no time to take a day off. So they got to risk it.
Sir, I was just about to say that. We're out here Highway 99 northbound in Early Mart for a 20 to 50 vehicle pileup due to the fog. They're currently trying to clear the scene. Both directions have multiple pileups. Entire freeway shut down at this time. This is out here in Early Mart on Highway 99 north of Delano. Holy cow.
Kern County Fires are on scene of it.
Yes, sir, I was just about to say.
They're currently trying to clear the scene. 8 a.m. here in California between semi trucks, and sedans. We have Tulare County Fire Department here. Kern County Fires are on scene of it. They've been assisting with the Tulare. So.
I don't think anyone died, but, you know, it's good. You got to be aware, man. These are not situations you want to find yourself in. If you could avoid it, avoid it. What's this? Just in, new activity spotted at Iranian nuclear sites. I just went over that. But Iran is those are the Persians, man. Okay, let me grab this in Isaiah 21. I haven't grabbed this in a while. Isaiah 21:2. A grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media, all the sighing thereof have made to see. So Elam is going into the Persians. They're Elamites. And the Medians they're actually, the Elam and this is the Persians and the Medes. Okay. Which are the modern day Russians. Okay, they come into come up against Babylon. Okay. And just like it says in Isaiah the 13th chapter, you know, actually I didn't even look into Russia. And you know, there's just so much going on. Israel. That's why I want to get Jeremiah 49:20. It said Israel bombed Gaza. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, that he have taken against Edom and his purposes, that he have purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that's what that's what Elam. That's what Amalek's doing. He's having the duck bomb Iran. You know, yeah, get rid of those nuclear sites because, you know, they threatening us. We gotta destroy that threat. And now he's rebuilding his nuclear sites, as we can see. So that's more of an escalation. They said they had 60%, but they need 90 to make it to weaponize it or whatever. So it looks like he's gonna go for it. But this is what's gonna cause Edom, which is ultimately America, to go over there, you know, and fully invest in probably getting some type of ground attack in Iran. They're gonna have boots on the ground over there. And that's prophecy being fulfilled. The least of the flock is talking about Israelis. They're a small number of people, but yet they're in the highest positions. Okay, it's really Amalek, but you know he gonna use I like to call him Pinky in the Brain. Pinky, which is modern day American, you call him. He gonna do whatever the brain tell him to do. Okay, so the duck would be like Pinky in that case, and the brain would be whoever's running it from over there in Israel. But get those Iranians, that Gaza situation, it's going to cause them to come over there, and that's what's going to kick off more prophecy. But, you know, this is all rumors of wars because the MOTB has to be established first. Then it's really going to kick off. But I'm into here. Lord's will, this was edifying. Shalom.